our project, and please enjoy.
Okay, so I'll give the introduction of our team's 2017 hygiene competition. The notorious chemicals we want to tackle with is the endocrine disrupting chemicals. When these kind of chemicals enter our bodies, something unpleasant might happen. So the first question might be, what is endocrine disrupting chemicals? The abbreviation of endocrine disrupting chemicals is EDCS, and there are lots of different kinds of EDCS around us. And they all have one thing in common. They influence our endocrine system by mimicking our endocrine. And they can influence in just a little dose. So where can we find this kind of chemicals? EDC mainly appears in the plastic products like water bottle or food containers, and pesticides used in the farmlands, or any kind of contaminated food and water. So how do these kind of chemicals release in our environment? The main release of EDCS can be to their production, use, and disposal, and the emission of EDCS can be to the atmosphere, the soil, and the water. So now let me introduce you three main places for the release of EDCS. The first is the plastic factories. Since the main sources of the EDCS is from plastic products, so inevitably, the wastewater from the plastic factories may have a huge amount of EDCS. Second is the water from the farmlands. This is from the pesticides used in the crops. Last but not least is the wastewater from the household usage, for example, like detergents or dishwashers. So now we know how these kind of chemicals enter our environment, but how will these kind of chemicals influence on our bodies? According to the research from the WHO, EDCS has been associated with thyroid-related disorders, abnormal neural growth, altered female and male reproduction function, changes in the immune system. And some research even found out that EDCS, like BPA, can even change our beta cells, which in turn influence our insulin resistance. Among all of these, what concerns us the most is that EDCS can even be transferred from the pregnant woman to the developing fetus and child through the placenta and breast milk. Another fact is the cost for the EDC crisis. By the research from NYC School of Medicine, the European Union has spent 157 billion euro per year to deal with this EDC crisis, and that's a huge number. So what can we do, or what can our team do? Before I jump into our design, I would like to talk about our target compound and our target place. Our team want to focus on two compounds, that is bisphenol A and non-neophenol. You may be curious about why we pick these two. And not like there are tens of thousands of EDC compounds, but why we pick bisphenol A and non-neophenol. The first reason is because bisphenol and non-neophenol has long been a huge problem in the EDC crisis. And the second reason is because bisphenol A and non-neophenol is well studied, and our ultimate goal is to tackle with as many EDCS as possible. So we want to first jump into something that is more easy for us to tackle. So let me introduce you bisphenol A. The main sources of bisphenol A is from the polycarbonate plastic, which is like food container or water bottle. And we can find bisphenol A in surface waters, river sediments, or even the leachate from the landfills. For the non-neophenol, non-neophenol is usually in the form of non-neophenol ethoxylates, which is NPEOS. And the biodegradation of NPEOS to NP is relatively easy. But the end product, which is NP, seems to be more toxic. We can find non-neophenol in detergents, wastewater treatment plants, or sewage. So where will we put our target? Where will we put our device? If you still remember, there are three main places for the release of EDCS: the plastic factories, the farmlands, and the household. And our team wanted to focus on the place like farmlands. And here's the reason why. According to the National Yang Ming University of Institute of Public Health, there are some facts about Taiwan's farmland. 76.1% of the food contains non-neophene. And the average Taiwanese uptake of non-neophene from food is 4 times higher than the Germans and the New Zealanders. The average Taiwanese non-neophene concentration in urine is 2 times higher than the Americans. The last thing I want to mention is something for the ecosystem. And there's a compound called vitalogene. And this kind of compound should be only secreted by female fish. However, if the non-neophene concentration in the male fish is higher than 10 microliter, the male fish will have a high chance to release this kind of chemicals that should be only released by female fish. And unfortunately, there's 35.1% of our river in Taiwan's phenolic compound factories is higher than their threshold value. So we finally comes to our solution. We've designed 2 different kind of systems to tackle the EDC crisis. And what they have all in common is we divided the system into the degradation part and the detect and feedback control. For the detect and feedback control places, it will be taken by Charlie in a few minutes later. So I'll focus on the filter part right now. So let's just dig into the filter design detail. This is our filter solid work, and let's have a close look at it. In the filter design, we combine our enzyme with the activated carbon, and when the contaminated water that includes BPA and NP flows by, the BPA and NP will be trapped by the activated carbon and be degraded by the enzyme. So now I want to talk about the enzyme work with the BPA and NP. So this is the chemical structure for our target compound. It's quite simple to see that there's 2 phenolic groups in bisphenol A and 1 phenolic group in non-neophene. So what can this common place help us? So based on this fact, we've chosen 4 different kinds of lacase and 2 different kinds of enzymes to degrade BPA and NP at the same time. And these kind of enzymes come from bacteria, fungi, synthetic construct, and plants, which are quite natural. This is the mechanism of the BPA degradation. You can see right here, we target on the phenolic group and turns them into free radicals. The end product will be less harmful. And the same mechanism is quite the same for the MMP and lacase. Since we target on the phenolic group, so the non-neophene degradation will quite be the same as the BPA. The last thing I want to mention is how we combine our enzyme with our AC, which is activated carbon. Here, the solution in it, the amide group will attack our activated carbon and form a bigger complex. Then we will add glutaroaldehyde in it, and the amide group on the activated carbon will then attack our glutaroaldehyde to form a huger complex. The last step, the amide group on the enzyme will then attack our complex and form the compound we wanted. So this is the introduction part of our design. The next part will be introduced by Nolan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tina. And now I'm going to introduce our experiment design, which can be simply split into 2 parts, degradation and detection. So this is the outline of the part of degradation. First, we're going to confirm the expression of enzymes by the ligation of the gene of enzyme and the gene of GFP. Next, we're going to transfer the former gene into E. coli, and we can know if the enzyme is expressed or not by the expression of GFP. Second, we're going to confirm the function of enzymes. We know that the enzymes can convert the phenolic group into free radical. Therefore, if we blend the enzymes that have functions with phenolphthalein together, they can convert the phenolic group of phenolphthalein into free radical. And when we add sodium hydroxide, the solution will be colorless. On the other hand, if the enzymes are functionless, the solution will be pink, but not colorless. And third, we're going to purify the enzymes by His-Tech column. Finally, we're going to degrade BPA and MP by all of the enzymes we have chosen. After degradation, we will use HPLC to check its effect. In order to build a feedback control system, we need to detect the concentration of EDCS first. This is the scheme of our system. And now let's figure out how our probe works out. First, we're going to express monobody. Monobody is a protein that can bind to ER alpha, which has already bound to EDCS. In other words, if ER alpha does not bind to EDCS, then the monobody won't be able to bind on it. So, after its expression, we will extract it and let it bind on the gold electrode. Another protein we're going to express will be ER alpha, which is the abbreviation of estrogen receptor alpha. ER